Just so everyone knows, we are recording this today and it will get posted later if you have individuals who ask you about it and or want to watch it. It will be up on the CSU Ventures website for posterity, and hopefully also with a link to the YouTube posting of it in our account for the RamLink student chapter. So welcome to the first meeting of the National Academy of Inventors chapter at CSU. I am Sarah Hibbs-Ship. I am the Managing Director for Communications for the Colorado State University Research Foundation, which houses CSU Ventures, the technology transfer arm that serves all of the CSU system. So we are excited to be here today and helping facilitate the growth and building of the chapter. And I just want to go through the quick agenda, which is we're going to have this welcome, obviously, talk about the chapter structure, the elections, which are first and foremost what needs to happen for next year, actually, to be able to run the chapter, potential activities for summer and fall, demo day, just very briefly, next meeting date, and then a Q&A session. Generally, however, if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to unmute and ask your question, type it in the chat or raise your hand, and I will do my best to facilitate that flow as we go through the meeting. And so just as a reminder, some of you who are on today are students, and some of you are non-students. So we have a two-chapter structure. The student chapter is actually running the NAI chapter at CSU. So these are all students, graduate students, undergrads, whichever is fine. There's no restriction on what type of student you need to be part of the student chapter. You just have to have a Colorado State email and be able to join the chapter on RamLink. You have student, and if you have a patent issued in your name, you can be an inventor member as well. And only students are eligible for the leadership roles as a student-run organization. So the student chapter RamLink access hyperlink is on the screen right now. And if you have not yet signed up and joined the student chapter and you are a student, please go ahead and do so. The non-student section, which is faculty, staff, postdocs. I'm sorry for all of the postdocs who are here. You are not counted in the student section, or maybe you're really happy you're not counted in the student section. And any community members who are interested in being part of this innovation ecosystem and supporting the chapter are welcome to join the non-student chapter. The reason, Dr. Dandy just asked a great question. The reason why we have a two-chapter setup is that to have a student-run chapter, no more than 49% of the chapter can be non-students. So we have to have a majority of students to run the chapter, and to make that easier, since we had an overwhelmingly positive response from faculty, and it will take us a while to get the requisite number of students we need, is to separate the chapters out in that particular case. So there are likely right now more faculty members than there are student members so far signed up. So the non-student chapter side, for those of you faculty, staff, community members, you are eligible as an honorary member, which is just someone supporting the ecosystem, or an inventor member for those of you who have patents. And as we move through this first year, we will get those designations ironed out and handle how we separate and acknowledge each of you in the separate membership types. Those of you who are non-students, everyone on here, I think, has probably already responded on the CSU Ventures website and signed up via the sign-in form as non-student members. So if you do have somebody that wants to be part of it, please direct them to the CSU Ventures website if they are not a student. And in that manner, my job here is done, except running the slideshow. And I'm going to hand it over to Chandra, who is our faculty advisor for the next part.
Hi, I wanted to say hello and then welcome all the participants in this meeting. Excuse me, I'm not sick. I've been talking continuously and my voice has become a little sore. So what I wanted to do right now is I am the, what do you call, starting faculty advisor, and I am a professor in College of Engineering, and plus, but I have a campus-wide affiliation. I also serve as the faculty advisor for the Office of Vice President for Research. So that gives a natural connection to invention and research and so on. With this, I'd like to introduce Yusuf Farah, the president, and Nipa Khair as the financial officer. And please excuse me if I didn't say your name right, and if I mispronounced it, because if you look at my name gets mispronounced all the time. So I'm used to this. So, so with that, I'd like to hand over the meeting to the inaugural president, Yusuf, and clap and welcome you. I don't know if you can hear my clapping.
Yes. Thank you for the clapping. We'll be sure to clap for Nipa once we get her started to present. Okay, so everybody remember to clap for Nipa when she comes on. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Chandra. Yes, hello. Thank you everybody for coming to our inaugural meeting for the NIA chapter at CSU. We're really excited to take a part of this meeting and have you all here in this exciting, well, new chapter. So my name is Yusuf Farah. I'm a PhD graduate student in the chemistry department, and I work with Amber Crummell. And I've also been involved with CSU Ventures the CSU Ventures Ambassador Program for the last 2 years. And this year, one of our exciting new projects was forming this NIA chapter. So the first step in forming this chapter is kind of what Sarah alluded to. In order to establish a solid foundation for our chapter, we need a solid leadership and officer organization to lead the chapter, being the student organization, the student leadership to run the chapter. So what are some reasons that a student would be involved in the leadership role of the NIA chapter? So we could, students have the ability to build their skills in science communication and their leadership skills. They'll be able to build up their resume, increase their personal and professional network, and student leadership will have a direct impact on the culture and innovation at CSU. Student leadership will also have the important role of organizing and hosting events for the NIA chapter, such as the NIA chapter meetings, seminars, workshops, and luncheons, and so forth. So to become a leader in the NIA chapter, a student must first be a student of CSU, but also register for the NIA chapter. As Sarah pointed out, this can be done via Ramlink. Also seen on Ramlink, you can download the application form to become a leader. So the application form is going to outline certain details for the application, like submitting a resume or CV, a cover letter, and also include 2 references. The deadline we're planning for this is going to be about a month from now. So students have a month to submit their application to us and go through the review process. And then hopefully 2 months from now, student members, so the last week in April, will give a 3-minute presentation to the student membership chapter of the NIA, and students will vote for their leadership, for their new inaugural NIA leaders. And what we're hoping to have is a flushed out leadership roles, I guess, by the first week of May. And next slide, please. So the leadership roles that we're looking for are going to be these 5 listed here: the president, financial officer, secretary, vice president, and engagement and or event officer. Each of the detailed Responsibilities and duties of these roles are outlined on the RAMBLink site under the document for the application. So I encourage students, if you're interested, please go to the RAMBLink webpage and download that, and feel free to ask us any questions. So that's one way for students to be involved, but also another way for students and faculty advisors to be involved is to participate in our NIA committee. And the NIA committee is going to be responsible for the nomination of senior and fellow members, but also planning the State of Innovation seminar series. And both of these are going to be covered in later slides within the slideshow. So we'll go into more detail what the committee actually does in those. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our financial advice officer, Nipa. And so I'm going to clap for Nipa real quick.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you for mentioning about the committee members. As an introduction, I'm Nipa Khair. I work with Professor James. This is my first time being involved anything except study. I have been involved in this organization since last year, and it has been a wonderful experience from opening the organization and talking with your faculty members and student members and learning more about National Academy of Inventors. As Yusuf said, we have opportunities for students and faculty members to build a board member for nominating our faculty members. As a research university, we would like to nominate our excellent professors, excellent faculty members as NAI senior member and or NAI fellow. To be nominated for an NAI senior member, we need faculty members who are pioneer in their field, holds at least one patent, which is commercialized, or hold at least 5 US awarded patents. Unfortunately, the deadline for senior member is passed, so we are looking forward to nominating our faculty members for NAI fellow. To be nominated for an NAI fellow, we need faculty members with multiple of patents and excellent contribution in the field, research field. They are pioneer. We will nominate from CSARF, we will nominate their names for the NAI. To nominate our excellent faculty members, we need a nomination packet. And we are trying to build a board member to develop this nomination packet. Generally, in a nomination packet, we have a letter of recommendations for our faculties, also all the details of their patents. So we are looking for faculty volunteers who would volunteer for the committee. They can nominate themselves, or they can submit their letter of recommendations to CSARF. On the other hand, student volunteers are encouraged to join this committee member because they will be directly working with CSU Ventures in developing the letter of recommendation letters, and they should be open towards working with patents, USPTO, learning more about patents, have a mindset of learning details, cross-section and dissections of the patents of the faculties. In a nomination packet, we generally interview our recommender for our faculty nominations. So students volunteering for the committee will learn strong composition, strong ability and skills to develop a letter of recommendation and how we interview our recommenders and hold the process. Generally, we nominate 2 to 4 faculties each year. We cannot nominate more than 4 faculty each year for NAI fellow. So we are looking for 2 or 3 faculty members who have excellent research in their field and who are willing to be a National Academy of Inventor fellow. Good news, we have 5 faculty members who are our current NAI fellow. Professor Ed Hoover, Professor George Sedel, who we have lost recently, active Professor Susan James, whom I'm currently working with, who is my advisor, Professor V. Chandrasekhar, Professor Stephen Simsky. They're all from, mostly from Science Department, College of Science, and you can learn more about them from our CSU Ventures website. So feel free to learn more about NAI Fellow. And if you are interested to be in the committee member as a student or as a faculty to nominate yourself or generating your letter of recommendations and everything, feel free to join us. To join, you just need to email Sarah or CSU Ventures. Like as a student, you can just email Sarah or CSU Venture, or even you can nominate yourself as a faculty to Sarah. Thank you. I will transfer to Yusuf.
I do want to answer Matt's, Dr. Kipper's question really quickly. The non-student members, so Dr. Kipper, non-student members do not have to be affiliated with CSU other than being generally invested in the community at CSU. So an honorary member can be both an employee at CSU or a community member. The fellows and the senior members must be affiliated with CSU. Fellows do not need to be affiliated with CSU, but they do have to have some sort of academic tie. They don't have to be an employee of CSU. I'm hoping I answered both pieces of that question for you. So it is, however, better because an institution is typically only granted through the NAI. It is unusual for the NAI to award a fellow to more than 2 or so in any given year to a given institution. So there is a competition component to that, and we want to make sure that we are nominating our best faculty members that meet the requirements at that time. And if you have questions about that, I have the full nomination packet and the requirements, and I did Sue and Chandra's and assisted with Dr. Simsky's packets, and so we can talk offline if you would like for more details around that. So, and let me.
Sarah, can I add something here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that I wanted to say, Yusuf and Nipa, is this is an ASCSU organization, right? That was a rhetorical question for them. I was hoping they will answer. And Yusuf, are you able to hear me or?
Oh yes, sorry. Well, sorry. Could you repeat the question again? I missed the.
This is a ASCSU organization, the student organization.
Yes.
So, and the main thing is, as a ASCSU, the reason for all this, I wanted to actually give the background to David's question about all these restrictions and percentage. It's not coming from NAI, but as a ASCSU organization, you are eligible to get funding to do a lot of activities in this group. And I have been actually faculty advisor for other ASCSU groups. So because of that, I know I'm not an expert in this. And so because you have access to funding, then all these restrictions on who can vote, who can be members, these restrictions come from ASCSU because there is money involved. And you can request for funding at the end of the year. I think it comes by the end of close to spring, and you need to have a financial officer that is NIPA, I think will, and then you have to have a charter and everything else. But anyway, I just wanted to put it out there. There is money here, more than glory.
Thank you, Professor Chandrasekhar.
Yes, and that is true. We also want the students, as well as a student-led organization, to be able to learn and grow and get education and intellectual property and experience in those realms that faculty can definitely be part of, and we absolutely want to recognize faculty, but it's easier to have the faculty chapter separate and let the students then really truly get their hands wet with thinking about and learning about innovation, as many of them may honestly not go on to academic careers. Many of them are going to end up in industry, and this is a very, very powerful skill builder and information builder for those that want to go on out into the public or private innovation area. So
Yeah, fantastic point. Yeah. So some activities that both students and faculty can participate in is through what NIA calls their GAIN network. And GAIN stands for the Global Academy of Inventors Network. And this can be accessed for everybody here, students and non-students alike, through the NIA website shown here. And in this virtual platform, you can create an online profile and match with other NIA mentors. And so I've done this, and it was very easy to link up my LinkedIn account and create a profile that was based off of essentially my background, my skills, and my career goals through my LinkedIn. This online portfolio that was created for me matched up me with other NIA mentors that are signed up through the program. For example, I'm a chemist. My specialty and my field is in optics, and I got my undergraduate in Utah. So actually, my #1 candidate that I matched up with was a chemical engineer who works in the industry of optics and was from Utah. So it was very cool to see, oh, hey, I can immediately start to form a connection with mentors that are available through this NIA GAIN network. Again, everybody can access this. So that's a very big part, and an important aspect that we want to drive for our chapter is the mentorship opportunities. So in this GAIN, for example, students can go on and explore different career options and link up with different professionals in different fields. Similarly, faculty and staff can sign on as mentees as well. For example, if faculty are trying to have a startup company or commercialize a certain product, licensing, can create a profile and match up with other mentors in this web portal networking platform. Alternatively, faculty and staff do have the option to become NIA mentors in this GAIN network and create profiles and match with other mentees like myself. This is actually a very important aspect or an important thing that faculty members who are considering to be a senior member or a fellow of the NIA to pursue this, because the NIA, the application for those NIA fellowships really stress the mentorship and your participation within this. So if you're looking to do that and climb the NIA ladder, this is a good resource to invest some time in and participate in. So alternatively, we are also looking at the mentorship within our CSU NIA chapter here, right? We want to press certain things like communication and innovation between colleagues, collaboration with fellow researchers here, and conversations naturally might lead to job opportunities for graduate students like myself, or career advice, which is very helpful always. And also the ability to connect with different departments, colleges, connect and expand your personal and professional network with people from CSERF, the Office of the Provost, the VPR, Energy Institute, Innisphere, the list goes on. And so this is going to offer a platform for all of us who are researchers and professionals within the innovation and technological fields to connect. And we really want to press that mentoring with all of us. And so I'll toss it over back to Nipa.
Okay. We have more activities coming on. Thanks, Yusuf, for talking about all those things. And I'll be talking about things or seminars that are very important for me as a student. For example, we will have seminars and speakers coming from academia, industry. They will be talking about their industry experience and then academia experience. At some point, we are like confused and not sure which field we want to go. And for sure, their career route can help us determine on that. Most importantly, these guest speakers are coming from a nomination from our faculty advisors. They will be nominating numerous pioneer researchers from different fields to talk about that. On the other hand, we have speakers from IP law firm, IP lawyer, tech transfer officer like Steve Foster, USPTO officers coming on and talking about patenting and everything. So for example, from these seminars, we can know what we can patent. For example, we cannot patent A equals to MC square law. We can know that from the seminar, and what can be patented and what cannot be patented is a very small details is important for developing your early career. On the other hand, if we are expecting to learn more about patents and in terms of for more about patents in terms of like when your small public disclosure can backfire you when you go to patent. For example, we have our faculties who like to talk more about their research, but since they have already published a small abstract or published in the conference, these things can act as a prior art for their own patents. So all these things will be discussed in details in these seminars and workshops, which are very important for students like me who had no idea on patents before and lost their, because of the public disclosure, they lost the ability to patent or generate their intellectual properties. We have also educational seminars where we can know, like, if I generate a intellectual property, what do I do with it? Who should I contact after that intellectual property? We will learn more about CSU ventures, tech transfer, all this knowledge share from the presentation, and how can we protect our intellectual property, not disclosing in any public or social media disclosure. On the other hand, if we end up in startups in our late career, like after graduating, and then we decide that we want to build a startup, and then how do I buy my own patent from CSU? All these details can be learned from this presentation. For example, you would need to buy your own patent from CSU if you are filing your patents with CSU. Like if I generate any intellectual property, CSU holds the property, they are going to file on behalf of me, so they will pay all the fees on behalf of me, and in returns, when I need that patent, I will be paying, my company will be paying CSU to purchase that patent. We also have professional development seminars where patent agents, technical advisor, patent attorney will talk about their career route. Recently, there has been a buzz for engineering students to transfer their career to patent lawyers or patent agents. Me as an engineer can think of any person more intellectual than patent agents because they know the law and they know the science. It's very fascinating, and to know that engineers can also be patent attorney or patent agent is really a cool thing to regulate your career in future directions. Well, all these seminars are mostly concerned about culturing and nurturing the mindset of innovation. We have, so that we have, as a student, have a good mindset of innovation, and not only most of the time we generate intellectual property, but not aware of that we are generating intellectual property, and maybe we want to build a startup company, but we are not aware of the whole process. So all these seminars are supposed to provide a overview of transferring your knowledge from your lab to patenting, licensing, commercializing, and going towards a build-up startup company. Sometimes it happens that you don't know where your product is in terms of readiness level, and is it the right time for you to start your company. So these things to know in your early career as a student will help to remote or move your career orientation. Yeah, Professor Dr. Wad.
Yes, so thank you very much, Nipa. I was just going to mention there are students and then there are students. There are students that are in a class that are paying tuition, and whatever is generated within the class is their intellectual property. If the student is like a graduate student and and employed by Colorado State University, then the intellectual property is Colorado State University. And so I see Chandra wants to say something, but I think there's a distinction there between students in a class and students as an employee.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
a graduate student, so I just know information about myself. And I know undergraduate students hold patents, which is very cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing this.
So Nipa, can I add to that?
Sure.
So first of all, before I add to that, let me introduce the VIP who just spoke. He's the mayor of Fort Collins. And so,
Mayor Emeritus.
yeah, and he's also been a passionate advocate of innovation and economic development, and a good friend of mine. Anyway,
Thanks.
I should have said in the reverse order. Coming back, Nipa, there's one thing I want to add to, that's a very good point that Wade made. And there is one more thing I want to encourage the students, especially the graduate students who do thesis. You know, thesis is a public document. Nowadays, there is a big hurry to put everything on the internet. So, however, there is a very simple form you need to fill. It's not advertised, and then you have to pull this information from graduate school, otherwise they won't tell you. You can put an embargo on your thesis for 2 years.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong. Everybody in the world will not have exact details of what's on your thesis. So once you put that embargo, then there is no public disclosure. Then it gives you time to, you know, people are very busy. They're scheduling exams, and, you know, exam time and thesis time is always crunch. They forget details, and then they jump up and down because suddenly they find, oh, there is a small part in the thesis that's got potential to be patented. But once you disclose it publicly, and it's too late. So I very strongly encourage all the thesis students to use this 2-year embargo option. And it's the best kept secret. I encourage all my students to do that, and only because of that, patents have come. And these are, of course, funded students. So I had a vested interest in protecting the IP. So that's a very, very important thing for graduate students.
Thank you, Professor Chandrasekhar. Do you mean that this is not only on thesis, but also on dissertation?
Yes, thesis. I use the term thesis very generically, thesis, dissertation, and everything.
Okay.
I think you can put maximum up to 2 years, but there will be a lot of pressure from you because it's additional paperwork. There will be a lot of pressure to just not do that, but this doesn't mean you can't publish the work.
Yeah,
It actually helps. You
yeah,
can
it's no problem at all, actually, Chandra. This is Steve. I actually did this with my master's, and they had about 4 or 5 patents that came out of the work I did on impedance tomography, and they just basically kept mine under wraps for 2 years, and then the publications came out in 2 or 3 years after I got my master's, and they're still very well cited and all of that. So it was no issue at all. And of course, then I just had my advisors tell anyone I needed them to recommend that these things were being held up because they were important enough to embargo for a couple of years. It actually ended up working out really well for me. So I've seen this firsthand. It's an absolutely good approach to take. Thanks.
See, we have an endorsement from a latest NAI fellow. So that should be the right thing.
So this is a good example as we continue to go through this and we figure out our meetings and what kind of seminars that everybody would like, right? For those of you who didn't know, we're already in the learning mode, and likely some of the things we can offer can run along these lines as you think about that, and maybe consider volunteering for the State of Innovation Committee, so that you can help define and organize and figure out what the flow of those seminars will be for the coming year.
I've already learned so much just within this meeting, just within the past 10 minutes. I've already learned so much. Yes,
Are you ready for the next slide?
Yeah.
Oh, the next slide is mine, actually. So shameless for me plug, because I work at CSURF, and we have the annual Innovation Symposium coming up, which is Demo Day. This year, again, it will be virtual. The vast majority of it will be virtual. It is April 18th through 20th. And for those of you who are graduate students or faculty members and have something innovative, abstract submissions are open through March 9th. If you would like to submit an abstract, you can find the abstract portal on the website, which is csudemoday.org. We would love to have as many members of the NAI chapter join in the festivities that week. The schedule is dynamic at the moment and the seminars are being filled out, but it appears that our opening seminar will host Sue James and Alan Rudolph and the tech transfer unit, and really talk about what it is, how tech transfer supports the land-grant university mission in dissemination and application of research to commercial products, and how we're building that community here at CSU. We'll have, I believe, a second seminar on innovation across the Front Range and those resources, whether they are Innosphere here in town or the Institute for Entrepreneurship here at CSU, or the NSF I-Core Hub that CU Boulder is a part of and is open to all Colorado universities, in that for I-Core training as well, or CBSA and various resources down in Denver that support innovation and entrepreneurship. So, and then the third one I think is going to be Ag Innovation and the new Spur campus that is opening up, and all of the different innovation infrastructure and plans that are going into that. So it is I guess our theme for Demo Day is innovation of all types at CSU, and how we're building this culture and really trying to move it forward now that as we're coming out of COVID and everybody has been stuck. And hopefully we will keep it going. So if anybody has any questions about Demo Day, please let me know. I am happy to answer any questions, help you learn the best way to participate or support. We hopefully will have a startup showcase along with the individual faculty, student, employee posters on innovation as well. We have lots of sponsors, so there will be a wide variety of law firms who send representatives to help us judge. And I think right now we're on target for somewhere between 30 and 50 industry judges who will be there judging the work that is put on the platform. So the prizes there's an innovation prize for each college, and then there are 4 unique innovation prizes. One is AR/VR, one is software, one is programmatic innovations, programmatic educational outreach, and one is in honor of the Nancy Richardson Design Center. So it's human-centered design thinking strategies. And each of those, I believe the awards this year have been set at $1,500. So the winner of each of those innovation awards gets $1,500 in cash, whether that is a faculty member or a student. So for those of you, if you want that for your lab as well, we do accept innovation for faculty members who don't have a graduate student prepared to present on whatever your lab is working on in terms of innovation. So we really, really look forward to participation on that this year. And again, it's virtual. For those of you who participated last year, it's a 3-minute video and a non-academic customized poster. So, and for startup companies, Lindsay Linky is on. She put together a video last year for Cybec and did a little bit of marketing for her CSU startup. So we are very excited to have any of the startups back as well. So Lindsay, you are absolutely invited. So.
Thanks, Sarah.
You are welcome. I'm going to hand it back over to Yusuf so he can talk about the NAI chapter. And do we have, I'm just curious.
We have Iman.
Show up?
Yes, we have Iman.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'll have Nipa talk about the NIA conference and maybe shout out to Iman
Yes, I'm just going to shout out to Iman, who presented in last year NAI annual conferences. We all present in conferences, and more specific conferences are like which is related to our research. But NAI annual conference is completely different outlook, where you have innovation from all fields: science, arts, commerce, software build up, and copyright. All these things come up and then present on their on this conference. I would like to shout out to Iman, who presented last year. Iman, how was your experience in this field? Did you enjoy it?
Hello, everyone. Really, I found it very different from the, typical conferences we take part. There were not many technical presentation. I think there were only 4 student presentation. And it was really unique to me because honestly, it was really great for me to present in front of the great mind across the nation and get to know people, the best people in different field. I found it really interesting and informative for me, and I'm really happy about doing that. And it was a great, presentation experience for me. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm really happy I was able to do that.
So you saw a lot of different fields coming up and then showing their innovation.
There were only 4 student presentation, and other presentations were mainly about the innovation process, the patenting process, and the future of innovation. There was a very, very interesting presentation from NSF director about the priority in research in coming years. I found it really interesting and informative. And
Yeah, and you had Mahmoud Shakuri with you last year, right?
no,
Nazanin. Nazanin.
yeah, Nazanin Shakuri and Dr. Yurkhani.
Yeah. Iman
Yeah,
works.
I presented on behalf of our group.
Yes. And he works on Professor Yotkani's lab. They works in composite, but then when they were exposed to different fields, I'm sure it must be very interesting and exciting to see other minds. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Iman. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining.
Mustafa, I have a question for you. You also went, if you are on and willing to chat with us. As a faculty member, I know you've gone to numerous different scientific conferences. How did, granted it was small, it was the smallest NAI conference, it was the first time they'd been back in person.
Right.
And Florida was exploding with COVID at the time that the conference was held. But
Yeah.
we have a let me try that again. He was caught in a loop. But if you will unmute again, Mustafa. He's still caught in a loop. You might have to go off, Mustafa, and come back in. You're caught in a sound loop, like a record player.
How about now? Does it work?
Yes. Will you share your experience and how it was different?
Sure. So as Iman said, this was very different than every conference I've been to. So it was mainly the talks were high level, and we had a lot of innovators who gave a talk about their progress to become to basically commercialize their products. There was as Iman mentioned, there was NSF director talk that was very interesting. And the unfortunate part of things was that, first of all, it was after the COVID, not too many people were able to attend because of all the health concerns. And also, whoever was planning to come, I think half of the people, that was United Airlines flight cancellation. So there were not too many people. Everything was virtual. But I feel if in future, when the conference is going to be fully in person, it will be really informative and actually really good opportunity for networking. So outside the meetings, there was all inventors like from industry and from from academia that you could connect with, get their opinions, and just talk to them. It was really good opportunity.
Thank you. I am excited. As you can see, this year's is in person. It's in June in Phoenix, although it'll probably be 115 degrees. You will be inside should you choose to go.
Sure. Yes.
And I will say, as Iman mentioned, there were only 4 student oral presentations, but when you submitted your abstract, you had to be selected to do the oral presentation. So Iman was one of 4 that were selected to do the orals. So there was a separate poster session, I believe, that had more posters, correct, Mustafa?
So it didn't, the poster session didn't happen because of all the problems with the organizing the conference back then, but they invited 4 student teams across the US. We were the only engineering team. There were teams from photonics, pharmaceuticals, I believe. But the theme of the conference was on sustainability. So they chose works that were related to sustainability.
And so we do have Diana Jerome here from the NAI. And I believe, Diana, you're welcome to say something if you would like, but you don't have to, but definitely correct me if I am wrong, that the applications for student abstracts to be submitted will be opening soon. The submission request is not out yet, but we should be getting that in the next month or so, I believe.
For the annual meeting, yes.
For the
They are
annual
looking to, yes. And so I will send you a link on that this afternoon so that you have the most latest information. And I can even put it in the chat as well. Not a problem.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. So if that is something that anybody here is interested in, or you would like your lab to be interested in it, or you know other students or faculty that would be interested, please feel free to share this information out. That's another reason for building this chapter, is to make sure everybody's having sort of these types of conversations and sharing these resources that have been sort of hit or miss beforehand as to who knew about them. So I'm going to go forward. So we're almost done. Okay. And so those of you who have questions, definitely please shout out as we get there.
So to start to wrap up our meeting today, just have a few action items and kind of a checklist for the students who were able to make it to the meeting today. First and foremost, if you haven't done so already, please sign up to be an NIA member via the RAM link. Also, encourage your fellow researchers and colleagues, graduate, undergraduate alike, to check out our new NAI chapter. We offer the opportunities to boost your resume, expand your personal and professional network, and learn about technology and innovation as it applies to research and commercialization. We've got a lot of opportunities here, so we want to spread the word about our new NII chapter. And if you are interested in taking on a leadership role, submit an application for the opportunity to become a student officer for the NIA chapter. Our next meeting will be March 22nd, 2022, so a month from now. And in that meeting, we hope to announce our student officer candidates, start the voting process for those student officers, and give any NIA chapter updates, such as our next meeting after that and any events that we have planned. If there are any questions that students have, please feel free to contact NEPA or myself for specific questions. Our emails are shown here, but also all of this information can be found on our RamLink website. So I encourage you to all spread the word, and thank you, students.
All right. We have something coming up next. As Yusuf mentioned several times, we are having our student-only meeting on March 22nd and our general meeting on May 2nd. We are really hoping that we can announce our officers, president, secretary, vice president, and financial officers on the May 2nd general meeting, and we'll clap for them for sure. Election voting will be opened hopefully from 1 month from now. So you can vote on Ramlink, and the link should be open for at least 1 month. And then you'll know everything about the voting and election system coming on the Ramlink. All the meeting registration will be provided on the Ramlink or the CSO Ventures. We'll have some general agenda for May 2nd meeting, announce the new officers, committee volunteers. Like, please consider yourself for a committee volunteers to learn more about NAI fellow or senior member fellow, or nominate yourself as a faculty to be considered for a NAI fellow. In the second meeting, we'll be talking about updates, future events, and all the seminars we talked in the meeting. Will provide more details of that in our upcoming meetings. And QA, of course. Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming and joining us and inspiring us to build up and moving forward with the organization. Thank you to the faculties, and thanks to the students who keep us motivated to run our student chapter. Questions? We'll be taking questions.
I do want to mention that there is the opportunity, if we get enough students in the student-led chapter, that the two chapter structure can be merged into one chapter. It's just that at the moment we know that we have lots of faculty that have responded positively, and we still have to disseminate the information across all of the students and build some support there. So that is one hope for the future, should that happen. But until then, for the moment, I'm managing the sort of non-student side, and Yusuf and Nipa are managing the student side. So, does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. When the nomination opens up, Yusuf, is the nomination going to open up for your own job or for the other titles?
Oh, yes. My anticipated graduation date for my PhD is this May. So that's why I'm hoping to get the ball rolling and pass the baton onto another student.
You may want to check with the ASCSU on this, because typically they hold the elections the previous year. So maybe you are running this fall to fall cycle. So check on the details, okay?
I will definitely check. Yes, it seems that there is a lot of independence with how some, there like maybe special cases, like for myself, since I'm graduating, I don't think I can.
What I'm saying is there is an annual election cycle for all the societies, and then that goes with typical calendar year. For example, if you are graduating and gone, you may need to appoint an interim acting president or something till the next cycle starts. But again, this is a student-run organization, and I act only as an advisor. And the advisor's role is only when there is a conflict or an issue. And typically, the advisor doesn't do anything to get in the middle of things. Seriously. So normally it's a well-run organization. The advisor is not even needed. Okay. And this is based on my experience working in as a faculty advisor for other student group on campus. So that is, you may say, yeah, you can elect this person as president, and then but then that person may work only for 3 months, or that person, you have to work out all these details. Okay.
Yes, and that's actually great advice. As our faculty advisor, thank you so much, Dr. Chandra, to outline that. That's something that we should check into. But yes, if it comes to it, I'll just hand over an interim president, so to speak. So thank you.
And that interim president has to be a member.
Perfect. I know one of the students. Yes, yeah, Deepa. But Deepa will be both financial and president. I don't think that's actually legal. That's not possible.
Yeah, we'll need someone. Yeah. If someone agrees to take your position for 3 months, that's absolutely fine. And if we can't find anyone for that, I can volunteer.
But you know who the ASCSU people are to contact to check on these rules there in the student center. And then there is this place behind the information desk where you can go and well, you don't have to go these days, though. In the old days, people used to go, but you can check with them. They will
Just
tell
call
you.
them.
Okay, okay.
I just call them. This is Slice. They take care of everything. So whenever I have any confusion, I just call them. They're very good at helping us.
Good.
Yeah, Slice people have been helping me so much in removing all the confusion of small details. Thank you, Professor.
And plus, there may be a pandemic exception too. Who knows?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions? You all are so quiet. This is the joy of Zoom meetings, right? But we can't see your faces either, except those of you who have great pictures. Counts. So. No questions, no comments, no concerns, suggestions.
We should ask Sue James to say a few words
Sue, would you like to say a few words?
on behalf of the provost office.
Sure.
Sorry
Well-
if I put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. No, it's great to see so many folks here, and I think people are excited about it. I think we just got to get down to doing the really fun and interesting part of the chapter, which is the activities that Nipa and Yusuf were describing. So I really appreciate Nipa and Yusuf and Sarah's efforts here, because we wouldn't be here without them. And thank you, Chandra, so much for taking on the faculty advisor role. I'm glad that you are an experienced faculty advisor for ASCSU organization, so that will definitely help. And I guess what I'd ask of the folks that are here is, what do you want to see when you think about what Nipa just suggested? What do you know speakers that you'd like to see come, or certain topic areas that we really want to cover more than others? We'd love to hear your input and your suggestions on that kind of thing.
I can speak up on that. So I recently have got into 3D printing over at the Idea to Product Lab in the engineering department. And I know that there's a lot of people, especially undergrads, that go and spend time there and put a lot of energy into that. And that's kind of where my idea of like innovation started, because I'm a chemist. And so sometimes it's hard to differentiate what I do in a chem lab from actually my own personal innovations. And so I was kind of wondering about, it seems like 3D printing is a new field, and there's a lot of pathways for innovation in that field. So maybe having someone who's maybe not directly associated with 3D printing, but who's had some experience with it, and who also might have some patents, and can maybe discuss how you might be able to take a 3D printed design or object and get that patented or licensed. I'm pretty new to all of this, so any intro kind of seminar on something like that would be fantastic. Thank you.
That's a great idea.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dakota. Good idea. Yeah.
You know, Sue must be smiling, because I remember when she was department head, she and I used to exchange notes when she was struggling to keep that operation going. So it's a big payback here, Sue. You must be feeling good.
Yeah, well, the credit really goes to David Prowl. I just enabled him.
Yeah.
He'd be a good speaker for what Dakota was just talking about, actually.
Steve, were you going to say something? You had taken your mute off.
Yeah, I could definitely help with that. I've got a few patents in additive manufacturing, and 3D printing can actually talk about how some of those were repurposed from other areas. So we actually got the 3D printing program at HP from IR absorbent dies that we were originally using for completely other purposes. So yeah, I'd be glad to contribute to that.
That would be great. Another topic that I know faculty certainly would like to hear more about is how licensing of the technologies that are disclosed to ventures and patented by ventures works, and the faculty's role in those discussions.
Yeah, that's very important topic. So because NAI actually recognizes, it gives a lot of weightage only to patents that are licensed.
Mhm.
And so licensing is a very dear topic to faculty. And also we see a message from David Dandy about suggestions. Have Mike or Tim from Inaugural describe their operation. So, hey, we already have topics for the rest of the year. That's good.
Dr. Dandy, I'm hoping that either Mike or possibly Scott Sample or Tim will be part of the innovation resources across the Northern Colorado for that second seminar at Demo Day. So there may be a small component of that where they get to tell you a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about what they do and what they support. And then we could have a separate follow-up one that's way more in depth if we would like. So. But yes, these are exciting. I'm glad you guys are coming up with these. So this is the joy of as somebody volunteers for the committee to be able to gather feedback and students to help find the speakers and collaborate. I will say from a state of innovation started at Ventures, CSU Ventures. In the years that I did it, the best speakers I got from faculty. And so the faculty have tremendous connections to people that they want to hear from. And it's great. It's also wonderful to have internal speakers because there's a tremendous amount of expertise at CSU that you don't always think about it, that the expert in a field is in your actual university, but there are many of those here at CSU. So.
There, I have a high level comment, this Chandra.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, so based on my experience dealing with student organizations and what I heard at the NAI and what other people are doing, I think it's healthy to have two separate organizations, one for faculty and one for students, and then have a good relationship between them instead of forcing being joined at the hip, because the restrictions on one of them will broadly drive the restrictions of the other, and then it just after some time it will get suffocating. And plus also it will eliminate a lot of conflict of interest issues and conflicts and so many things. So I think at a high level, right from the beginning, if we go with the opinion that we need to have a faculty organization and then a student organization, but then have them engage very freely, then we won't be operating in a suffocated space. I can get into a lot of details, but that's not important now. That's just a suggestion, and I suggest let's proceed that way.
Well, and we currently are in that actual structure, so we will continue in that structure as well with Sue and the Office of the Provost and yourself as well, Chandra, along with all the faculty that join, trying to figure out how we really want to manage the faculty portion of it, because there are things that are available to faculty that are not available to the students and vice versa. So. And funding is one of the things available to the student organization that those of us who are not students have to find in our coffers somewhere else. So that allows for some events to be funded that might otherwise not get funded. Absolutely. So excellent. Well, we can wrap early. Or if those of you who are left on have specific questions or want to have a longer conversation about something, I see many of you have sent me emails already, so I am excited to open and read them. Those of you who have, I will meet with Yusuf and Nipa, Chandra, and Sue about volunteering and sort of how everything's lining up. And we will send out regular emails to everybody who has connected. From a student perspective, you'll probably get the emails via RAM link. And from a faculty non-student member, you'll get emails from me separately through through CSU Ventures and CSER. So for the time being. And if anybody wants a flyer for anything that we are doing, whether it's demo day, you want to share information on that, or if it's the NAI chapter, you want something, a flyer to be able to hand out in a class or through your lab or through faculty meetings in your college or department, please let me know. I'm happy to get those put together and provided to you. And with the miracle of the QR code, now that COVID brought that back from the dead, we can put those on the flyers as well. So they can just be posted. Yes, Diana.
Well, I just wanted to take this moment very briefly and thank you. My goodness, what a wonderful presentation. So very, very thorough. And mind you, we've seen very unique presentations over the last few years. And I have to say, this is a definite standout. The time that you've dedicated just to this presentation alone gets me excited to see what the chapter will be doing going forward. We are here to support you in every way. If you are looking for guest speakers, we can assist you with fellows and senior members. And even our president, Dr. Sandberg, would love to be a part of anything that you, would like him to be a part of. So he gets excited over things of this nature. NAI, of course, is his baby. So anytime that you would like his assistance or knowledge or expertise, he's probably the most fantastic resource that I could recommend. So, but thank you. I just really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. You guys are fantastic. You've got a great perspective going forward. And it's just exciting to see all the talent that is going into this chapter. So from all of us at NAI, thank you very, very much for being a part of this. It really means so very much.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
I certainly appreciate that Sue said thank you to me as well, but I couldn't have done it without Nipa and Yusuf. Having two grad students who are willing to take the brunt of it is a tremendous asset. So those graduate students who are still here, no matter where you are in your master's or your PhD, and whether you're feeling beat up or not, you are a tremendous asset. And we always appreciate you, and you have the opportunity here as well to do things where you do get recognized every day, along with the struggles of your degree. So it's not supposed to be easy. I'm sure you will feel it's not easy, but here's something to look forward to if it's helpful. So. Excellent.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Sarah. And thank you, Diana. Thank you so much for coming to our inaugural meeting. So nice to meet you.
So we are done. You guys can fall off. Again, send us any questions if you have them or requests. And otherwise, yeah, the meeting is now adjourned. So
thanks, everybody.
I will stop recording.